president has previously not ruled out military force when he's talking about taking over Greenland, but your rhetoric today is more about encouraging the Greenlandic people to vote for independence. Do you think the rhetoric has changed about that, or what's your message there?
No, I don't think it's changed at all. Look, the president has said clearly he doesn't think that military force is going to be necessary.
Don't say but. Please don't tell me there's a but after that sentence.
But he absolutely believes that Greenland is an important part of the security, not just of the United States, but of the world, and of course the people of Greenland too.
Even that sentence in and of itself is mind-blowing. He doesn't think that military force will be necessary against one of our longtime allies. Denmark and Greenland by extension have been allies for a while now. They've been a part of NATO for a while now, and Trump is using this Putin-esque rhetoric, or rather, he won't rule out using Putin-esque tactics to invade the country, which Trump supporters claim gives him some sort of leverage if he won't fully rule out military force. But no, that's like me saying, if you don't go to the store and get something for me, I'll kill myself. That's not getting leverage over someone. That's being a vile human being. And
It's very simple. I think the president's been very consistent here from his State of the Union, from his inaugural address, and every public statement that he's made. This territory, Greenland, really matters for the security of the United States. It's extremely vulnerable right now. And if the people of Greenland were willing to partner with the United States, and I think that they ultimately will partner with the United States, we could make them much more secure. We could do a lot more protection. And I think they'd fare a lot better economically as well.
Okay, so this is all a pitch. JD Vance is pitching the Greenlanders on being a part of the US, but his entire framing here is slippery. We are already partnered with Greenland, and Greenland is already partnered with the US. So is Denmark. JD Vance says, I think that someday we could partner. We already are. You don't have to use any sort of pressure or leverage or force, economic or military. Greenland is literally already our friend. We can position more troops there, but of course, JD Vance is lying when he says his goal is just to have a stronger relationship. They've been lying about all of this. They just want Greenland as part of our territory. They want to annex it. And the funny thing is, and this part is really important, conservatives are being entirely hypocritical with their Greenland stance for many reasons, of course. But one of the reasons is because their main argument is that Greenland is vulnerable due to climate change. As the Arctic melts, new shipping routes will emerge. Access to untapped minerals will begin to free up, and more attention from global powers will begin to be on Greenland. It will become more vulnerable, but directly because of climate change. Yet Trump refuses to admit climate change even exists, so he sends JD Vance to do his dirty work in Greenland and be the massive blundering idiot. I mean, look at JD Vance and Usha Vance getting off their plane, waving to nobody. Waving to nobody. Let me play the audio. Like, you expect there to be some type of cheers. I don't think they're waving at anybody. I also don't think the Greenlanders really want them there. Remember, I broke a story yesterday about Usha Vance having a trip to Greenland, JD Vance at the last minute deciding to tag along, and then because JD Vance tagged along, Usha Vance's entire itinerary was dropped. The tourism firm canceled, businesses shunned them. JD Vance basically hijacked his wife's trip, and he's so disliked by the people of Greenland that,
this has to happen. And the reason it has to happen, I hate to say it, is because our friends in Denmark have not done their job in keeping this area safe.
Okay, that's called the pretext. I'm sorry to keep pausing it, but that right there is the most obvious pretext in the world. He's laying the groundwork for reasons why Greenland has been failed. Denmark is failing Greenland, or whatever his argument's going to be, is all just a pretext for the US to come in and save them, which is disgusting. And
they just haven't done it. It's very simple. For all of our friends in the American media who attack the administration for pointing out the obvious, what is the alternative? To give up the North Atlantic? To give up the Arctic? To China? To Russia? And to other regimes that don't have the best interest of the American people at heart?
No, you just talk to Greenland like they're our allies and say that they're vulnerable and we should probably put more troops over there on the ground. They have said that they'd be willing to do that. I mean, the leader of Greenland came out and said, if the United States wants to partner with Greenland, we welcome that. Of course we welcome that, but we don't welcome your weird authoritarian rhetoric where you're speaking like Vladimir Putin speaks. I also hate how JD Vance says, this has to happen. This has to happen.
This has to happen. And the reason it has to happen,
I mean, it does not have to happen whatsoever. It's up to the people of Greenland. It's weird. It's like the same rhetoric that Trump uses. It has to happen. Dude, they're rejecting your advances. They've rejected every single advance, yet he still comes there and says, this has to happen.
And now I want to talk about, of course, the interaction and what Denmark, I think, has done, and sometimes in partnership with us, but let's be honest, what Denmark over the last 20 years has failed to do in some cases, because we know that unfortunately this place, this base, the surrounding area is less secure than it was 30, 40 years ago because some of our allies haven't kept up. As China and Russia have taken greater and greater interest in Greenland, in this base.
Now, JD Vance is partially right here, but he's wrapping up any correctness that he has in his disdain for our allies in Europe and other people across the globe. Now, keep in mind, JD Vance genuinely hates Europe and any country over there, but they're wrapping it in this criticism that Europe needs to pay their fair share, which they likely do. And even they know it. Even they are starting to get their shit together and starting to pay more. And even the most liberal will tell you that, yes, European countries should probably be contributing more at this point just to guarantee their own security. But at the same time, JD Vance keeps saying or implying that Greenland would be, quote unquote, better off without Denmark and under the U.S. security umbrella, and hinting that military force may not be necessary. But it's all a mess because, first of all, you want us to protect Greenland after we've been posturing towards them over the past few months. I'm sure that makes them feel safe. But also, they basically already are under our security umbrella. They're part of Denmark, and Denmark has been a part of NATO for decades now. So JD Vance's weird pressure throughout this speech, saying this has to happen, that's the language of annexation, by the way. That's not partnership. That is pressure. That is not letting the people of Greenland choose, as they're supposed to be able to, if they want to be independent or under another country. That is pressure. Again, he is not getting the hint. They are rejecting the advances of the Trump admin. And by the way, it's becoming increasingly clear that Trump is always sending JD Vance to do the dirty work, whether it's his Munich speech where he had to tell European allies to their face some nasty stuff, or whether it's going to Greenland. I think that Trump is sending JD Vance to do the dirty work for a few reasons. I'm sure Trump is lazy. He doesn't want to do 14-hour plane flights, but also JD Vance is objectively better spoken than Trump. Like, objectively, JD Vance can go out there and give the case better, even if we disagree. Also, Trump just wants JD Vance to be doing the dirty work. He wants JD Vance's disdain for Europe to bleed through, and we see that every single time JD Vance goes to speak. Look at this dude debunking what JD Vance was saying.
JD Vance today said that Denmark is a bad ally. Now, that is outrageous, unmitigated horseshit, because it was Denmark who had the highest per capita fatality rate of soldiers in Afghanistan, where they fought alongside the U.S. after we, that's right, we, the United States, triggered Article 5.
Yep.
Yes, this is the same NATO and Europeans that Vance and Hegseth called freeloaders. Now, he was speaking in reference to Greenland and alleging somehow that Denmark hasn't done enough to protect that country from hostile foreign powers. But let me ask you, who in this fucked up equation between the US, Denmark, and Greenland is really the bad ally? It's sure shit not Denmark, it's the United States.
Yep.
Let's look at the reasons.
The United States has been posturing towards them, like I just said.
First and foremost, we are threatening to invade using the same language and tactics that Russia has used to justify naked wars of aggression in Ukraine and elsewhere, which would violate the most basic tenets of international law, including the Nuremberg principles that we used to prosecute the Nazis after World War II. But also, and many people don't know this, we're also the ones who fucking dropped multiple nuclear weapons on Greenland, killed a bunch of their people, and of course, lied about it. Yes, that's right. Let me tell you a little bit about it. In 1968, a U.S. Air Force B-52 on an alert mission from Thule Air Force Base in Greenland crashed after an in-flight fire, causing the conventional explosives on 4 B-28 thermonuclear weapons to detonate.
Nobody talks about this. And the point is, we're the ones that are kind of the bad ally with a lack of security guarantees. But check this out. JD Vance answers another question.
And the president said today that we have to have Greenland. By being here today, are you also conveying that message that the U.S. is very serious in its desire to acquire Greenland?
Well, the president said we have to have Greenland, and I think that we do have to be more serious about the security of Greenland. We can't just ignore this place. We can't.
You know, Trump really has a problem with not being able to read when someone rejects his advances or when an entire country rejects his advances. Take the hint, bro.
Can't just ignore the president's desires, but most importantly, we can't ignore what I said earlier, which is the Russian and Chinese encroachment in Greenland. We have to do more. Now, what the president said
I agree that that's a problem, but we don't have to own it to do more.
in his State of the Union address, and he was very clear about this, is we respect the self-determination of the people of Greenland, but my argument again to them...
Why is there a but? Wait. Let's go back 1 second. He said, President Trump says we respect the self-determination of the people, but why is there a but there?
Greenland, we have to do more. Now, what the president said in his State of the Union address, and he was very clear about this, is we respect the self-determination of the people of Greenland, but my argument again to them is I think that you'd be a lot better coming under the United States security umbrella than you have been under Denmark's security umbrella. Because what Denmark's security umbrella has meant is effectively they've passed it all off to brave Americans and hoped that we would pick up the tab. We're simply saying to the people of Greenland, when the president says we've got to have Greenland, he's saying this island is not safe. A lot of people are interested in it. A lot of people are making
A lot of people are interested in it. The Trump administration, first and foremost, the only people who have openly postured towards it, you know, I'm gonna leave it there. Vance is framing this all as a question of sovereignty and saying the people of Greenland should choose their own future. But just remember, when the world's largest superpower is leaning on you from a military base while their protests are ignored, while their government is shunned, then are they really choosing their own future? I love each and every single one of you. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.